this is Katie with Vintage and Vinyl, back with another great video for you today. And in this video, we are bringing back the brooch. Now, if you've been following my channel recently, I've been doing a little series showcasing my brooch collection, and we are in the last case of brooches. So sadly, guys, this will be the last video, but I'll have to have more when I go shopping and add more brooches to my collection. So this is the last case of brooches. It is a mealy case. I love that red color, and it has some absolutely beautiful eye candy. I want to thank all of you guys for tuning into this series. It seems to be very popular, so I'll have to do more in the future. I love that this has inspired so many of you to bring back the brooch, wear something fun, and just see some vintage eye candy. There's so many wonderful brooches out there on the market to buy and to have fun wearing. So, are you ready to jump into the last case of brooches? Let's go. So the first brooch I have to share with you tonight is an absolute stunner that I picked up from Alex over at Chapter 2 Vintage Co. Now these enameled flowers have become wildly popular thanks to the one and only Magpie Ethel over on Instagram. She showcased her absolutely massive collection a little while ago, and it's so neat how she displays them. She puts them in old metal flower frogs in a window, and it really does look like a happy 1960s flower garden, and so many people in our community have been following suit. Now, I love the dimensionality of this piece, and of course the colors. These really do come in a variety of colors, but I love the red, white, and blue. It is so 4th of July to me, and this really does beg to be put on a jean jacket or a jean shirt. It's so cool. This is a nice size. It's about 3 inches long, and I love, love, love the texture on the leaves of this flower. Now, if you flip it over, you will see that this has some age to it. It's got the riveted construction with the Y back. I think that's what that's called, Y back. And then you'll notice that it does have a safety clasp. Now I want to talk about safety clasps just a little bit. You'll see that the pin unlocks and then kind of locks back into place, and then you can fold over that little clasp and it keeps it tight. Now, the reason safety clasps were invented is not really what most of us think. Usually we think they were invented as a way to protect yourself from sticking yourself with the pin, but that's not true. They were actually invented as a way to prevent yourself from losing your brooch, because at that time a lot of people had very expensive brooches, not your average costume jewelry, and you didn't want to lose a diamond and gold brooch off your shirt, so they had to invent something to prevent it from getting lost, and thus the safety clasp was born. So that's kind of the history of the safety clasp, and I'm so glad I picked up this fun enamel flower from Alex. Now, speaking of Alex, I picked up another brooch on one of her YouTube live sales Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern, and I was so happy I won this little enamel shoe. Now, I cannot wear high heels in real life. I always fall over. I'm very clumsy, but I thought, you know, if I can't wear one in real life, at least I can wear one on my lapel, and this was so Cinderella to me, so I just had to have it. Now, I love the blue cobalt enamel. It's really well done, and this is one hefty pen. It is very solid, and it measures about 2 inches long. I love the detail on this piece. On the heel, they've actually glued in all of these tiny little rhinestones, and then they've even added a little notch in the back where the heel would be, so they've really focused on the detail. And then on the front, they've added even more rhinestones, so that really reminds me of that clear slipper that Cinderella would wear. Now, if you flip it on its side, which is how you would wear it on a shirt, it kind of looks like you're actually wearing a shoe, because you can see down into the shoe. I love that detail, and this really does have a nice solid safety clasp on the back, and it is gold toned with that blue, and it's just such a cool piece. So this next brooch was sent to me from a sweet subscriber from Dee's Sale over at Thrill the Thrift. Now, she has great live sales on Saturday at 3 p.m. and this is such a unique brooch. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Now, I've talked about this before on my channel, but I adore rhinestones that are prong set. Now, the reason for that is prong set really is a superior method of making jewelry. That means that the stones are all held in by tiny prongs as opposed to glued. When you glue in stones, they get damaged and they fall out. with prong set stones, they really will stay in a lot longer, and to me, that just screams quality. So this piece is so unusual. You've got the Aurora Borealis stones, and then you have all of these amazing textured little white stones, and I think that these are probably maybe like a really high quality plastic, and they're all in that beautiful marquee shape that I just love and adore. Now if you flip this piece over on the back, you'll notice that all of the pieces are riveted, and I've heard that that really can help date a brooch. Someone was just talking about this the other day, and I'm sorry I don't remember who, but they mentioned that that typically will date things to the 1950s, and I really do believe this brooch probably is from the 50s. It is amazing, and I love the way they've even riveted on this clasp here. It is just so nice, really good quality, and it's nice and lightweight too, so when you're wearing this on your shirt, it's not going to pull down the shirt. It really will work on a variety of lighter fabrics. Now this piece is about 2 inches in length, so it's a nice size, and you can wear it this way or you can wear it this way. This brooch really has so many possibilities. So I picked up this little dachshund brooch to show my support for the Just One More Dachshund Rescue. Now, if you're not familiar with the JOMDR, you really should be. Dawn Schonkweiler runs the charity, and she does the most amazing work housing dachshunds from all around the country, giving them the medical care they need, in some cases thousands of dollars worth of medical care, and then finds the dogs good, loving homes. It's just amazing work. Now, Patrick over at Trusty Huckster Mercantile so selflessly does a charity every year to support the doggies, and this year he's hosting another one on November 11th, so I hope all of you guys will show up and support for the dogs. There'll be lots of fun doggy vintage up for grabs, as well as some epic mystery boxes, so you don't want to miss out on this. Now every day leading up until the fundraiser, I will be wearing this brooch on all of my YouTube events in support of the dogs, and to remind you guys that the fundraiser is coming up and we want to do everything we can to help those little doggies. Now, this is not your average dachshund brooch. This is actually a Boucher brooch, and if you know anything about Boucher, you know they are some of the best quality brooches out in the vintage market. Now, Boucher was founded by Michael Boucher. He came from Paris to work with Cartier in the 1920s, and then in 1937, he opened up his own company. Now, this is a cute little dachshund measuring about 2 inches long. He's got a little Jimmy eye. They're little green eyes. I just love that about it. And then it's got that typical Boucher brushed gold, and if you flip it over, you will see that it is marked Boucher on the back, and it even says Dachshund. It's just so fun. I love this piece, and it is really high quality. Now, Boucher looks like Boucher, but it is actually pronounced Boucher, and I'm so glad I was able to pick up this little dachshund in support of the dogs. Now, this next brooch I don't think is particularly old, but I wanted to share it because I picked it up from one of my very favorite places in Jacksonville to buy brooches, Fans and Stoves Antique Mall. Now, the lady that curates the 3 booths of brooches travels all over the world to find jewelry for her displays, and she has the best eye and is so knowledgeable. Now, this piece is amazing. I just can't tell you how cool it is. This is actually a locket brooch, and have you guys ever seen a locket brooch? I haven't. This actually has little hinges here, and when you open it up, it turns into a locket. How cool is that? Now, I'm going to put Louie's picture in here, my pug. She's going to look awesome in this little brooch. Now, you can tell that this has some age to it. There is some wear around the outside of this little picture frame here, and this is all plastic and cardboard, so that kind of gives an indicator to me that this really isn't that old. Now, it does have some wear on the front, so again, I don't think that this is like, 2000s, but I don't think it's 1940s either. This is something that was probably made for like a Talbot's or maybe even a Chico's, but it is a good quality piece, and it's going to be a lot of fun to wear. Now, I love the detail on this. Notice around the outside, you have all of these laurel leaves going around, and then you've got a crown with a lion, and you've got a shield, and then you have these little things that kind of remind me of Italian tiles. So cool, and I love the crests on the front. This really is a great piece to wear with my navy jacket, and of course I love that I can put little Louie in here. So speaking of brooches that are not particularly old, I picked this brooch up from Avonlea Antiques, another favorite place to shop here in Jacksonville, and I can't wait to take you guys in there soon. But this brooch is probably from the 80s or 90s. I don't think it's particularly old. However, I fell in love with all the colors. I just have a thing for multicolored stones and brooches. It really is fun, and it just makes you feel cheery. Now this piece reminds me a lot of a bouquet of flowers tied together with a beautiful ribbon. I love the marquee shaped stones with the baguettes. I think that's gorgeous. Now this piece was only $4, and probably only $4 because the stones are all glued in. They aren't prong set, and this isn't something that's marked that's super high quality, but it is really a nice little heavy brooch, and it does have some beautiful colors to it. So for $4 I had to pick it up. So this next brooch I have to give total credit to my mom for finding, and boy oh boy did she score big. Now these are called forbidden fruit brooches. That was the original name on the card back when these were sold in the 50s. They are manufactured in Austria, and they're actually made from an acrylic plastic that goes by many names, but the most common name is actually lucite. That's because lucite is the official brand of the DuPont company. They developed and registered lucite in 1937. Now, I first learned about forbidden fruit brooches when Joni was on my show and tell. She had a gorgeous lucite pair, and she was talking all about this forbidden fruit, and I thought, gosh, that seems really similar to the brooch I had. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it was in fact forbidden fruit. So Mom, you did well. Thank you for finding this amazing piece. It is going to be a prize in my collection. Now this, you can tell, is just such good quality. It's got all Austrian crystals, which the clarity is to die for in these. And you have the amazing texture on the leaves up top. And I love that they've even added that green detail on the gold. It really adds so much to this brooch. And if you flip it around, you will see that beautiful orange lucite. Now you can tell this brooch is older because the pin back does extend past the clasp. And I have heard that is a really great way to date brooches. So I think that this definitely has some age. And of course, we do know that these were manufactured in the 50s. Now this next piece I got from the lady over at Fans and Stoves that I speak so highly of, and this is an Austrian piece, and guys, it is a gorgeous piece. Look at all those colors in there. Again, just so happy. I love the design of this. It's sort of like a figure 8, and each one of these stones are actually prong set. They're all Austrian crystal, and I'm telling you folks, this is just an amazing brooch in person, and you can tell that it's got some really good quality metal on the back. It's all smooth and shiny, very buttery, and you've got a really well-made clasp. I just absolutely adore this piece. Well, since we're talking about Austrian brooches, I'm going to share my Austrian Cherry with you guys. Now, I picked this up on Etsy a little while ago, and the minute I saw it, I just knew I had to have it. This piece is all glass, and that is something that you don't see a lot of in brooches. All of these stones are real glass. You can just tell when you feel it because they're all cold to the touch. Now, this is a frosted glass with the most amazing detail in the leaves, very fine. It's just amazing how they make stuff like this. And then you've got a prong set rhinestone here, and what I love about this piece is that they've actually kind of mixed a different metal in. So this is actually like a black metal, which I think looks so good with that green and red. It's just a great piece. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out about Austrian brooches is not only are their crystals extremely clear and really good quality, you'll notice that typically Austrian brooches have thicker prongs. So you notice that this piece has some pretty thick prongs holding in these stones, and that kind of can help you determine whether or not something is Austrian. Now, usually Austrian brooches are marked made in Austria or just Austria, but sometimes they're not, so those things can help you out. This one does say Austria on the back, and I can just tell that this has some age to it. I don't know how old it is, but it's definitely older than like the 80s, I would say. Now, this piece is missing what I would consider a safety clasp. So it has has the two double fold over pieces here, but it doesn't have the little toggle in the middle to lock it into place. I don't think it's a C clasp because C clasps usually just have one like C. This would have two, so I think it is missing the little middle section, but it is still a highly functional brooch. It works just fine, and this piece is amazing. So while we're on the cherry theme, I'm going to share another cherry brooch that was inspired by my mom. Now, my mom absolutely loves cherries and always has for as long as I can remember, and I think I've really gotten that love from her. They are just gorgeous, and I think that this piece is really pretty. Now, it's not old. It's probably from the late 2000s, but it is stunning because it is Swarovski crystal. Now, we all know and love Swarovski. There's something about the Swarovski crystals that are just so shiny and sparkly, and they give off that amazing rainbow effect. I love the simplicity of this brooch, and I love also how small it is. It measures only about a ½ inch in length, and it just really fits well on an outfit that needs a little bit of elevation, but it doesn't need something that's just over the top. These are so perfect for that, and you can't go wrong with the Swarovski crystals and the gold. So stunning, so beautiful, and definitely very timeless. Now, this next brooch was a gift from Sam over at the Pink Elephant Parlor, and she really does find some good jewelry. Now, I love my Trefari, and this is indeed a Trefari brooch. Now, Trefari was founded by Gustavo Trefari and his uncle in 1910, and they used several different marks to mark their piece. In 1925, they had a mark, KTF, which stands for Trefari Craftsman Official, and then in 1920, they introduced the Crown Trefari mark, and then in 1950, it became just Trefari. Now, this piece is probably from the 80s, I would guess. It's got all of these beautiful faux pearls, and I love this kind of twisted rope of silver. That matte silver with the shiny silver, oh, that's just so gorgeous. And then you flip it over, and you will see that it's got the Trefari mark on the bottom, no crown, just straight Trefari. This is such a well-made piece. Trefari makes such good jewelry. They really, really do. And I love that this is silver because I really don't have a lot of silver brooches in my collection, and it will be so fun to wear at winter with my gray hat. So Sam at the Pink Elephant Parlor also sent over a few other brooches, and this coral brooch was a sweet gift from Belinda Carroll. Now, Belinda Carroll is one of my fellow brooch lovers in the chat, and she is always helping me bring back the brooch. Now, coral was founded in New York by Emanuel Cohen and Carl Rosenberger in 1900, and it was officially incorporated in 1913. Now, in 1943, they started marking their brooches just coral as opposed to Emanuel Cohen and Carl Rosenberger. Now, coral has a bit of a sad history. Unfortunately, in 1910, Cohen died, and then Rosenberger died in 1957, and shortly after, his son, who took over the business, passed away. And then in 1970, Richten bought all of their stock, and coral ultimately failed. But this piece is just amazing. I love the different colors of pink in here. All of these rhinestones are glued in. I just love it. I think it's gorgeous. You also have all of this beautiful brush texture on the gold leaves. I think that this brooch is lovely. And of course, it's a really, really nice size at about 4 inches long. Now, you can see that it is marked coral. I don't know if that's going to show up because the camera doesn't do well picking up these little marks. I film with a DSLR and it still can't pick these up. So these little marks are pretty tiny on brooches. Sometimes you do need a jeweler's loupe to see them. I love the clasp here, really nice and solid, and this piece is just so great with my pink hat. So this Scottie Dog was a fun pickup from Stephanie over at Thrifting Adventures. Now, Scottie Dogs were a big fad in the 1930s. Celebrities, including Humphrey Beauregard, Shirley Temple, and Charles Lindbergh, all owned a Scottie Dog. And of course, they were made wildly famous by President Roosevelt with his Scottie Dog, Fala. Now, this Scottie Dog is so neat because he's got several tones of metal, and I love when they do mix metal on brooches because you really can wear this with anything. You're not limited to just silver earrings or gold earrings. You can wear them pretty much with both because they've got silver and gold tone. Now, I also love that he's got a little blue Jimmy eye. I love when they color in the little eyes on these animal brooches. It just makes it so fun, and it really does help the brooch come to life. Now, if you flip it over, you'll notice it's not marked, so I can't tell you who made this piece, but it is well made. It's very hefty. The clasp is constructed extremely well, and I'm just so glad that I picked up this little iconic Scottie. So Angela Marksberry, the fabulous creator of our YouTube live sale calendar, sent me this incredible brooch as friend mail, and I'm so excited about it because this is the first brooch I have that actually has a fuchsia color on it, and it will go perfectly with my vintage Chrisley fuchsia hat that I just found, and I'm so excited to wear these two pieces together. They're really going to look great. This is also the first brooch I have that has a bronze color to it, and I love the styling of this brooch. It's very Art Nouveau in its design. Now, I don't think it's manufactured in the 1800s, but it's just absolutely stunning. I even love the little detail here with the crystal. I just think that's so beautiful. Now, if you flip it around on the back, it is made from sort of like a bronze material. It's got a very textured back. And then, if you look at the pin back, it's actually a C clasp. So this clasp has a C that hooks over, and then you can fit your little pin back inside of it. That's what we would call a C clasp as opposed to a safety clasp. Now, I've heard that C clasp actually are older and they can help date brooches, but I was reading that a lot of companies, to save costs, are going back to these C clasps. So I really don't think that this piece is old, and I don't 100% believe that that's the best way to date a brooch, but I'm totally still learning. So there is lots to discover and lots to learn online. But a big thank you to Angela for this amazing vintage brooch. So this next brooch is a very sweet gift from Dana, Grace 2010H from the chats. She sent this to me from Sam at the Pink Elephant Parlor, and I absolutely adore this. I actually wear it on my hat as a little tie for the ribbons. I just love this piece. And what's special about this is actually 14 karat gold. Yes, it's 14 karat gold, and it has a little opal in the middle. It is so beautiful. This piece definitely has some age to it. The detail in the metal is amazing. They really did a good job with that metal work. You can see all of the little lines and detail there. There's the opal stone in the middle. It is marked 14 karat gold on the back right there. I don't know if that's going to show up. And it definitely has an older style to the pin back. I just absolutely love this piece. It's so gorgeous and definitely unique. So Dana, thank you so much. This is definitely a fun piece to wear. Now this next brooch is going to be a little bit hard to show on camera. In fact, I may have to zoom out for you to be able to see the entirety of this piece. This brooch actually measures 7 inches long. That's right, 7 inches long. Now this was an amazing gift from Laura and Mary Beth over at Fatbird Finds. Now Mama Layman actually found this brooch, and I am so glad she did. This is one of the coolest pieces in my collection. It's the biggest brooch by far that I own, and the enamel detailing to this is gorgeous. I'm telling you, the colors on this are so vibrant. I love the navy blue with that emerald green and the purple. I mean, it is amazing. The faceted rhinestones add so much to this piece, and I even love the texture that they've put into the feathers. I mean, look at this. You just can't beat this with a stick. I'm moving it along so you can really get the sense of size here because it is so big, and this is just such a cool brooch. Now it's not marked on the back, so I don't know who made it. I do think it probably has a little bit of age to it. It really is a statement piece, and this is something that's so heavy and well made that it is going to be in my collection forever. So thank you so much, Laura, Mary Beth, and Mama Layman, for thinking of me. I adore this piece, and it's going to be so much fun to wear in the winter on my jean jacket. Well guys, that was it for this series. I hope you enjoyed bringing back the brooch with me. Thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, before my next video, I'll be seeing you over on Instagram at vintage_and_vinyl. And I hope as always, you will stay in, stay safe, and pinch YouTube. Bye-bye now.